All right, students. So today we're digging into our topic inquiry for Ben 2 of our argument writing unit, our position papers unit. And so today I'm going to introduce what you're going to be working through so that you have a good grasp of where you're heading today and what your work time should be filled with. So here are the potential topics that we talked about on Friday. We said it was either equality, environment, personal freedoms, or education that you could choose from. You'll see from this list that there are some links to some, those are Padlets is what they're called. And so they just have tons of different sources for you to read through. The education one doesn't have a Padlet attached to it yet. If you do want to explore on that topic, it's just going to have to be research that you conduct independently. But the other topics have lots and lots of sources, so that's where I'm going to send you today. But before you do that, I want you to know what you're looking for. So here's kind of our agenda. This is how we're going to structure the day. You're going to pick one of those 4 topics. We already did this a little bit on Friday, but you're going to pick one of those 4. If you wanted to start completely over today, you could. Otherwise, use the flowchart that is on my small whiteboard to kind of guide that process. You develop a list of subtopics. It's important that you list and come up with more than one. It's important because you might not actually enjoy your first one as much as you initially think you will. And if you don't have a good understanding of all the different subtopics underneath this topic, it's going to make your argument weaker because you're just not as knowledgeable. So make sure you go through the process of picking multiple subtopics. Then you pick one of those out of the list that you just created. You can pick the one that you're most passionate about or the one that you think you can find the most content about. You pick one of those subtopics to keep your research narrow. You browse through the links on the Padlets linked to each topic on slide 2. So again, you go back to slide 2 here and you click through the links and you find what you're looking for to start your research today. And then for each of the texts that you read or watch, if it does happen to be a video, but don't take too much time on videos today, take notes in the style from slide 4. So I'm going to move to there now. It looks like this. This is called soapstone notes. It's where you pay attention to specific things in a text as you read. So you go through and you figure out who is the speaker, who's the person that's talking to me, who is the person that's writing or presenting this information. What is the occasion? So why is this being written right now? Was there an event that led to this being created, or is there an event coming up that they are writing about beforehand? Now let me preview real quick. Occasion and purpose, which is 2 down from there, are very similar. Don't take too much time trying to figure out the difference between those. Honestly, the main reason they're both there is because it makes a nice acronym, soapstone. And so the 2 are very similar. Why is this being written right now for occasion, and why is this being written in general? The purpose might be a little bit different, though. The purpose might be that they're trying to persuade you. They're trying to get you to accomplish something. They're trying to inform you. They're trying to entertain you. Think about what the purpose of their writing is. That is a little bit different than why they're writing it right now. Going back up to audience, who is this being written to? If I'm writing an article about banning plastic bags, I'm writing more to adults than I am. I'm writing more to people who go out and shop a lot than I am to kids. But if I'm talking about, appropriate usage at lunch, maybe like styrofoam lunch trays, things like that, then maybe I am talking more to kids than I am to adults, since kids are the ones that are in lunchrooms across the country. Subject is what is the subtopic. That one's pretty easy. And then tone. I want you to think about, how is the author talking when they present the information to you? Are they really like upbeat, lighthearted, trying to get you excited about something? Or are they trying to kind of create a doomsday scenario where they're showing you, that if things don't change, it's going to be really scary. So try to figure out, what is the tone that they're presenting information to you. Down at the bottom, it also mentions that you should track the sites that you're using and the titles of those sites so you don't lose them later on. And then whatever powerful quotes you find today that you would like to use as text evidence coming up, make sure you keep track of that. I would likely see about a page of notes for each of the sources that you go through today. Now, that's a lot of notes, but it's going to make the rest of the process much, much easier and much faster. So your goal today isn't necessarily to get through a ton of texts. It's to get through a few texts really, really thoroughly and to know them very, very well. So let's go back to our agenda. That was number 5 on our agenda. Then you go to number 6. It says, if you want to switch your topic or subtopic today, you can do so still, but by the end of the workshop time, you should have your topic finalized. And then once workshop is done, your teacher is going to instruct you and guide you on where to go from here. All right. So that is that's our workshop time today. That's kind of our agenda and where we are heading. Next, I wanted to show you an article. Let's see if I can get that pulled up here. I'm going to direct you towards the article that is on Google Classroom. That article is called "The Teenagers Getting Plastic Bags Banned in Bali." That article, if you go ahead and pull that up now, I'll give you a second to do so. If you need to pause here, you can. But that article is going to walk you through an example, a story of 2 kids about your age who went out and actually accomplished something. They saw an issue in the world and they tried to solve it. And so I'm actually going to read through that now with you. If you'd like to just read it yourself, you can do that. But I'm going to read it to you so that you have just a good grasp of the content before we move on. So read along with me as we go. It starts off, "Welcome to Bali. Do you have any plastic bags to declare? If you've traveled to the lush Indonesian island of Bali recently, you might have received this peculiar greeting at the airport. It would have come from Melati and Isabel Wijsen, who have been campaigning for 4 years to get plastic bags banned from their island. When they started out, they were just 10 and 12 years of age, and now they're about to succeed." You'll notice that this is a story about kids a little bit younger than you even. And this would be in the topic of environment. It would be in the subtopic of pollution. And even below that, it would be the subtopic of plastic pollution. So they set a really specific goal. They wanted to ban plastic bags. They didn't just say, we want to change the entire planet. They said, we want to change or ban plastic bags in our country. And that is where they started. Next, it talks about Indonesia's plastic problem. Indonesia is the second largest plastic polluter in the world after China. Its plastic waste accounts for a whopping 10% of marine plastic pollution. The Indonesian government has pledged to invest $1 billion in reducing marine waste by 70% by 2025 as part of the UN's Clean Seas program. The goal is ambitious, given the dire state of some of the country's 17,000 islands, including Bali, which has a population of just over 4 million. Due to the massive amounts of trash in the waters, when the wet season arrives and the winds turn, beaches on Bali are hit by the annual trash season. The local government downplays the event, on one occasion calling it a natural phenomenon, but at its roots are poor disposal systems and a lack of education on the problem of waste. Notice there that it hyperlinks natural phenomenon. You could click on that and go back and find what they're talking about. That's a good example of a place to dig deeper into your research. If a source that you're reading references another source, then definitely go to that other source and see if it's also something that you could use. Start with the bags. Growing up on Bali, Melati and Isabel were surrounded by the negative impact of plastic. "There's no escaping it here," Melati tells CNN. "The plastic problem is so in your face," and we thought, well, who's going to do something about it? A fateful day at school gave them the motivation they were looking for. We had a lesson in class about positive world leaders, change makers like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Lady Diana, and I remember at the ages of 10 and 12, we went home thinking about what we could do as kids from an island. That feels a lot like the kinds of days we've had in this class, where we've spent time learning about how others in our society have made change. We didn't want to wait until we were older to stand up for what we believe in. So they didn't. They founded instead an organization called Bye Bye Plastic Bags, an NGO driven by young people determined to get the population of Bali to say no to plastic bags. 100,000 signatures. That was the start of an incredible journey that has taken the sisters around the world, including to London, where they delivered a TED Talk, and New York, where they made an appearance at the United Nations. In their TED Talk, the sisters noted that only 5% of plastic bags get recycled in Bali, but the island produces 680 cubic meters of plastic garbage a day, the equivalent of a 14-story building. Next to the many highs and successes, says Melati, there were definitely challenges, particularly dealing with the government and lobbying to get them to move in the right direction. In their bid to get the local government to pay attention, they started a petition. They obtained permission to start collecting signatures behind customs and immigrations at Bali's airport, and eventually got over 100,000. Bali's governor, Mangu Pastika, however, remained unimpressed, and for over a year and a half failed to meet Melati and Isabel's request for a hearing. So you'll notice there that they have started an organization, they've started a petition, and they have spoken in London and New York City in front of some powerful organizations like the United Nations and at TED Talks. So they've done multiple things. They've tried to achieve change through multiple areas already. Here we're going to see one more. Frustrated, the sisters decided to start a hunger strike, a decision inspired by a trip to India and a visit to Mahatma Gandhi's house. Due to their young age, they performed the strike under the supervision of a dietitian and only from sunrise to sunset. It proved effective. 24 hours later, they were escorted by the police to the governor, who signed a memorandum of understanding to help the people of Bali say no to plastic bags by January 2018. As that date approaches, the girls have been promoting on Bali the use of reusable bags and highlighting shops that have stopped selling plastic bags on their social channels. So there's a couple more ways. They've talked about a hunger strike, and they've talked about promoting people who are doing the right thing on social media. Along the way, they've had other successes, such as Bali's largest ever beach cleanup, which attracted 12,000 volunteers. So organizing beach cleanup was another way. It was crazy to see so many people, no matter what age, nationality, or occupation, coming together for the same thing, says Isabel. They believe the voice of the youngest generations should have a larger resonance. If we could meet with the world leaders and speak to them, we would tell them to listen more to the youth. Consider us as more than just inspiration. We have bright, innovative ideas of how to deal with some of the greatest issues of our time, says Melati. We are the future, but we are here now, and we're ready. We've learned kids can do things. We can make things happen. So there is a really awesome example of how kids your age have created change in the world by identifying issues, trying to figure out what is causing those issues, and then developing small methods of changing those issues through actionable change. If we look at this slide again, we go through the soapstone for this text. The speaker, we have a writer from the New York Times or from CNN. We have an occasion. Why is this being written right now? Well, it seems like they've just received an award, perhaps. It's one of these, one of the pictures that's noted here. And so maybe it's referencing something that they just gotten recognition for. Audience. It seems like this is maybe being written to kids your age who are also inspired to go out and make a difference. Purpose. Why is this being written? I think this is written to highlight a small example of somebody who's making big change. Subject, again, this would be pollution, plastic pollution specifically. And then tone, I think this would be an uplifting tone where it's showing that anybody can go out and make a change. I don't think it's really a doomsday type article. It's saying that there's a lot of hope if people like this continue to step up and do the right thing. All right, so there's your work for today. Like I said, I would set a goal of getting through probably 2 or 3 texts today and taking really, really good notes on them. Try to nail down your topic and your subtopic. I don't want you to do a lot of changing today. Maybe make one change if you need to. Otherwise, get started. All right, if you have any questions, please email me. Otherwise, have fun.